Unveiling Oregon's shadows. Welcome, dear viewers and fellow seekers of the supernatural, to another spine-chilling episode of our haunted storytelling channel. Tonight, we embark on an eerie journey through the mist-shrouded landscapes of Oregon, a state where ancient forests whisper secrets, abandoned buildings echo with forgotten voices, and every shadow seems to harbor a story waiting to be told. From the rugged coastline battered by relentless Pacific storms to the dense, otherworldly woods that blanket the Cascade Range, Oregon presents a perfect canvas for tales of terror and mystery. Our fascination with haunted places stems from humanity's eternal quest to understand what lies beyond our everyday reality. These locations serve as portals to the unknown, where the veil between our world and the supernatural appears tantalizingly thin. In Oregon, this allure is particularly potent. Its unique combination of natural beauty and historical depth creates an atmosphere where ghostly encounters seem almost inevitable. The state's rich indigenous heritage, pioneer history, and industrial past have all contributed to a tapestry of supernatural lore that continues to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore it. As we delve into Oregon's most haunted locations, we'll uncover stories that transcend mere local legend. These are places where visitors have documented unexplained phenomena, where chilling eyewitness accounts have been corroborated by multiple sources, and where professional paranormal investigators have captured evidence that defies conventional explanation. Each site we'll explore possesses its own distinct personality, its own particular brand of haunting that adds to Oregon's reputation as a hotspot for supernatural activity. Tonight's expedition promises to be our most comprehensive yet. We'll traverse the length and breadth of the Beaver State, from its coastal fortresses to its mountain retreats, from its historic hotels to its abandoned institutions. Along the way, we'll encounter restless spirits, malevolent entities, and tragic histories that continue to resonate through time. Whether you're a longtime follower of our channel or a newcomer to the realm of paranormal investigation, prepare yourself for an unforgettable journey into Oregon's dark heart. So dim the lights, gather your courage, and join us as we venture into the unknown. What follows is not merely a collection of ghost stories but a deep dive into the very fabric of Oregon's haunted landscape. These are not just places, they are living, breathing entities that hold the power to terrify, to fascinate, and to remind us that sometimes, the past refuses to stay buried. Let us begin our descent into the shadows of Oregon's most haunted places. The Pittock Mansion, Portland's haunted jewel, perched majestically atop West Hills, overlooking the sprawling cityscape of Portland, stands the magnificent Pittock Mansion, a testament to early 20th century opulence and architectural grandeur. Constructed between 1909 and 1914 for Henry Pittock, the influential publisher of the Oregonian newspaper, and his wife Georgiana, this French Renaissance-style chateau represents far more than just a remarkable piece of real estate. Its 46 rooms, spanning over 16,000 square feet, house a century's worth of stories, some beautiful, some tragic, and many decidedly supernatural. The mansion's history reads like a Gothic novel. Henry Pittock, a self-made millionaire who rose from modest beginnings as a printer's apprentice to become one of Oregon's most prominent citizens, spared no expense in creating his dream home. The property's strategic location offered panoramic views of 5 Cascade Peaks, Mount St. Helens, and the Columbia River Gorge, an appropriate backdrop for a man whose vision helped shape modern Portland. Yet even during its construction, tragedy seemed to cast a shadow over the project when Henry's only son, Edward, died unexpectedly in 1913 while overseeing the mansion's completion. It was within these ornate halls that the first documented paranormal occurrences began manifesting shortly after the family moved in. Servants whispered about cold spots that appeared without warning, particularly in the grand ballroom where socialites once danced beneath crystal chandeliers. Maintenance staff reported hearing footsteps pacing through empty corridors late at night, though no one should have been present. Most disturbing were the sightings of a spectral figure resembling Henry Pittock himself, often spotted staring out of third-floor windows toward downtown Portland, the empire he had built but could never fully control. The mansion's transition from private residence to public landmark in 1965 following the Great Columbus Day storm didn't diminish its haunted reputation. If anything, increased visitor traffic brought more frequent reports of supernatural activity. Tour guides speak of doors slamming shut on their own, particularly in what was once Georgiana Pittock's sewing room, a space she cherished but which now seems to harbor an inexplicable energy. Guests have captured photographs showing mysterious orbs floating near the grand staircase, while others claim to have recorded messages containing words like, "Stay away," and "My home." Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from multiple witnesses who've encountered the spirit of Georgiana herself. Several visitors have described feeling an unseen presence watching them in the mansion's library, a room where Mrs. Pittock spent countless hours reading and engaging in her philanthropic work. Some have even reported smelling her favorite lavender perfume lingering in the air long after tours have ended. Security cameras have captured movement in areas where no living person should be, and maintenance workers regularly find furniture rearranged overnight despite strict protocols preventing such disturbances. The mansion's basement, rarely open to the public, has developed its reputation as the epicenter of paranormal activity. Former employees recount terrifying experiences of disembodied voices calling their names, cold drafts emanating from sealed-off sections, and the overwhelming sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. One maintenance worker famously resigned after repeatedly encountering what he described as shadow people, moving through the underground corridors, their forms dissolving into walls when approached. Professional paranormal investigators have conducted numerous studies within the mansion's walls, capturing everything from unexplained temperature fluctuations to full-body apparitions caught on infrared cameras. Their findings suggest that multiple spirits may inhabit the premises, each tied to different aspects of the Pittock family's complex history. While skeptics might attribute these phenomena to environmental factors or psychological suggestion, the consistency and frequency of reported encounters make such explanations increasingly difficult to accept. Today, the Pittock Mansion stands as both a National Historic Landmark and one of Oregon's most active paranormal sites. Visitors come not only to admire its architectural splendor and historical significance but also to experience firsthand the supernatural energies that seem to permeate every corner of this majestic estate. The mansion staff maintains a careful balance between preserving its historical integrity and acknowledging its haunted reputation, offering regular tours that include discussions of its paranormal history while respecting the privacy of those spirits who call it home. As we move forward in our exploration of Oregon's haunted places, the Pittock Mansion serves as a powerful reminder that even the most beautiful and well-maintained structures can harbor dark secrets. Its continued operation as both a museum and a paranormal hotspot demonstrates how history, architecture, and the supernatural can intertwine to create a truly unique haunted experience, one that continues to draw curious visitors from across the globe. Portland's underground labyrinth of terror. Beneath the bustling streets of Old Town Portland lies a sinister network of tunnels that earned their infamous name through one of history's darkest chapters in human trafficking. Known as the Shanghai Tunnels, this subterranean maze stretches for miles beneath the city's surface, connecting various basements, bars, and waterfront establishments through narrow, damp passages. Originally constructed in the mid-1800s to facilitate legitimate cargo transport, these tunnels soon became conduits for something far more nefarious: the illegal trade of human lives. The practice of Shanghaiing, which reached its peak between 1850 and 1941, involved kidnapping unsuspecting victims, often sailors, laborers, or simply unlucky travelers, and selling them into forced maritime service. The tunnels provided the perfect infrastructure for this brutal industry, allowing kidnappers to operate in secrecy while maintaining connections to key locations throughout the city. Victims would be lured into seemingly ordinary establishments, drugged, then dragged through trapdoors into the darkness below, where they would awaken aboard ships bound for destinations unknown. What makes these tunnels particularly unsettling isn't just their sinister historical purpose but the overwhelming sense of malevolence that seems to permeate every brick and crevice. Visitors and tour guides alike report experiencing intense feelings of dread and claustrophobia, even in sections that appear structurally sound and well-lit. The air itself feels heavy, charged with an oppressive energy that many describe as palpable evil. Numerous accounts document sudden drops in temperature, accompanied by an unnatural stillness that falls over groups as they venture deeper into the labyrinth. The most frequently reported phenomenon involves disembodied whispers echoing through the tunnels, despite their complete isolation from above-ground noise. These whispers often form coherent phrases, typically warnings or pleas for help, spoken in languages ranging from English to Chinese and several European tongues, reflecting the diverse origins of the tunnel's historical victims. Electronic devices behave erratically within the tunnels, with batteries draining rapidly and compasses spinning wildly, suggesting the presence of strong electromagnetic fields or other unknown forces. Physical manifestations of paranormal activity have been documented extensively. Several tour operators have captured clear footage of shadow figures moving independently of their groups, their forms distinctly human-like before melting into the darkness. Others have reported seeing full-body apparitions of men in sailors' garb, women in period dress, and children, all believed to be victims of the Shanghai trade. Particularly disturbing are the accounts of visitors feeling invisible hands grasping at their clothing or limbs, as if attempting to pull them deeper into the tunnels. The tunnel system's most notorious section, known locally as Dead Man's Drop, earns its grim nickname from the hundreds of skeletons discovered there during renovations in the 1970s. This area, located beneath what was once a popular saloon, served as a dumping ground for those who resisted capture or perished during transport. Paranormal investigators working in this section have recorded some of the most compelling evidence of supernatural activity, including recordings of agonized screams and cries for help. Many report feeling an overwhelming sense of panic and despair upon entering this particular stretch of tunnel, regardless of their prior knowledge of its history. Perhaps most chilling are the incidents involving missing persons. Since public access to the tunnels began in the 1990s, dozens of individuals have vanished without explanation while exploring their depths. Search parties equipped with modern technology have failed to locate any trace of these missing visitors, leading some to speculate that the tunnels contain hidden chambers or exits unknown even to historians. Local authorities maintain strict regulations regarding tunnel access, requiring guided tours and imposing curfews, measures that many believe are as much about protecting visitors from supernatural dangers as physical ones. Despite, or perhaps because of, these dangers, the Shanghai tunnels continue to attract thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts from around the world. Professional ghost hunters regularly conduct investigations, often emerging shaken and pale-faced from their expeditions. Their collected data paints a picture of a place where the boundary between the physical and spiritual worlds has worn dangerously thin, where the souls of countless victims remain trapped in an eternal struggle against their fate. The tunnel's connection to Portland's maritime history adds another layer of complexity to their haunting. The constant rumble of freight trains overhead creates vibrations that some believe enhance paranormal activity, while the proximity to the Willamette River introduces water-related phenomena that defy scientific explanation. Reports of phantom ships materializing in the river's mist, visible only from certain vantage points along the waterfront, suggest that the tunnel's influence extends beyond their physical boundaries. As we emerge from the darkness of Portland's underground nightmare, the Shanghai tunnels stand as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty and the lasting impact of historical trauma. Their continued operation as both a tourist attraction and paranormal hotspot raises important questions about our relationship with haunted places, questions that will resonate as we explore further into Oregon's haunted landscape. The Northwest Forgotten Asylum nestled in the rolling hills of rural Oregon lies Waverly Hills Sanatorium, a decaying monument to America's dark medical past and the suffering of thousands who passed through its ominous doors. Unlike its more famous namesake in Kentucky, this Oregon facility operated from 1915 to 1962 as a tuberculosis treatment center, housing patients during an era when treatment often meant experimental procedures, forced isolation, and desperate measures that bordered on the inhumane. The building's imposing Gothic architecture, with its towering spires and labyrinthine corridors, stands as a physical manifestation of the fear and hopelessness that characterized the fight against TB during the early 20th century. The sanatorium's most notorious feature was its death chute, a concrete tunnel running from the morgue on the 5th floor directly to the basement crematorium. Designed for efficiency in removing bodies, this macabre slide became a symbol of the facility's high mortality rate. Records indicate that during peak years, dozens of patients succumbed weekly to the disease or its treatments, their remains dispatched down this grim passage. Staff members reported hearing the echoes of metal gurneys clattering through the chute long after its last official use, while visitors claimed to see shadowy figures pushing invisible carts through the corridor. Patient records, though incomplete, paint a harrowing picture of life within Waverly's walls. Experimental treatments included surgical interventions such as pneumothorax and phrenic nerve crushing, procedures that often left survivors permanently disabled. The sanatorium's basement housed an operating theater where these procedures were performed, and it's here that paranormal activity reaches its peak intensity. Maintenance workers have documented equipment moving on its own, blood appearing on sterilized surfaces, and the sound of scalpels dropping to the floor when no one is present. The children's ward, located on the second floor, harbors some of the most heartbreaking hauntings. During its operational years, young patients were separated from their families and kept in strict quarantine, often dying alone and frightened. Today, visitors report hearing the laughter and crying of children echoing through empty hallways, despite the building being sealed off to unauthorized entry. Security cameras have captured images of small figures playing near boarded-up windows, their forms disappearing when approached. Some paranormal investigators believe these spirits remain trapped, unable to comprehend their deaths or leave the place that was both their prison and final home. Staff quarters on the fourth floor tell another chilling story. Nurses and doctors who worked extended shifts caring for terminally ill patients often resorted to extreme measures to cope with the emotional toll. Documented cases of abuse, mercy killings, and even suicides among the medical staff add layers of trauma to the building's history. Current visitors report seeing apparitions of medical personnel in period uniforms, their faces contorted in expressions of anguish. The staff lounge, in particular, has become a focal point for paranormal activity, with objects flying off shelves and disembodied voices pleading for help or confessing to unspeakable acts. One of the most compelling areas of investigation centers around Room 237, a patient room where multiple deaths occurred under mysterious circumstances. Historical records indicate that several nurses refused to enter this room, claiming it felt wrong or evil. Modern paranormal teams have captured extensive evidence here. Echoes from Mount Hood's summit, perched majestically at 6,000 feet on the southern slope of Mount Hood, Timberline Lodge stands as a breathtaking example of rustic American architecture and Depression-era craftsmanship. Built between 1936 and 1938 by the Works Progress Administration, this iconic mountain retreat embodies the spirit of resilience and ingenuity that defined an entire generation. However, beneath its picturesque exterior and luxurious accommodations lies a darker narrative, one of tragic accidents, lost souls, and supernatural encounters that have earned Timberline its reputation as Oregon's most haunted ski resort. The lodge's construction itself was marred by tragedy from the beginning. Historical records indicate that several workers perished during the building process, their lives claimed by avalanches, equipment accidents, and exposure to harsh mountain conditions. These fatalities, combined with the extreme isolation of the construction site, fostered an atmosphere ripe for supernatural speculation. Workers reported hearing disembodied voices echoing across the slopes, seeing shadowy figures moving through unfinished sections of the lodge, and experiencing equipment malfunctions that defied logical explanation. Many believed these phenomena stemmed from the restless spirits of their fallen colleagues, unwilling to leave the mountain they died helping to build. Once open to the public, Timberline quickly established itself as a premier destination for outdoor enthusiasts. Yet alongside its growing popularity came increasing reports of paranormal activity. The lodge's Cascade dining room, with its massive stone fireplace and panoramic mountain views, became particularly notorious for its supernatural occurrences. Servers and guests alike reported seeing apparitions seated at tables, their forms briefly materializing before dissolving into mist. Some claimed to feel cold hands brushing against their skin while serving meals, while others heard distinct footsteps pacing behind them in otherwise empty sections of the restaurant. The lodge's guest rooms tell their own chilling stories. Room 215, in particular, has become legendary among paranormal investigators. Numerous guests have reported waking to find a woman in 1930s ski attire standing at the foot of their beds, her face obscured by fog. Attempts to photograph the apparition result in camera malfunctions or completely blank images, while recordings captured in the room contain faint whispers warning visitors to leave the mountain. Maintenance staff have found antique skiing equipment arranged neatly in the closet despite never having been placed there, and the room's thermostat frequently registers temperatures 20 degrees colder than adjacent spaces. Timberline's connection to cinematic history adds another dimension to its haunted reputation. The lodge's striking resemblance to the fictional Overlook Hotel from Stephen King's The Shining led to its use in the 1980 film adaptation, though interior scenes were filmed elsewhere. This association has drawn numerous fans and paranormal enthusiasts who claim to experience phenomena reminiscent of the movie's plot. Guests report seeing twin girls playing in hallways, elevators opening to reveal empty shafts, and patterns of hedge animals seemingly shifting position outside their windows. Despite the lodge lacking such topiary features, the mountain itself appears to contribute significantly to the supernatural atmosphere. Skiers and snowboarders regularly report encountering ghostly figures on the slopes, particularly after sunset. Some describe seeing translucent skiers gliding effortlessly through fresh powder, their forms vanishing when approached. Others claim to hear distant laughter or calls for help echoing across the valleys, drawing search and rescue teams to locations where no living person exists. Mountain staff maintain detailed records of these incidents, noting patterns that correlate with specific weather conditions and lunar cycles. Below the lodge, in its subterranean levels, lurks perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Timberline's haunted history. The basement, originally designed for storage and maintenance, connects to a network of natural caves and service tunnels. Employees tasked with working in these areas report overwhelming feelings of dread, accompanied by the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Flashlight beams mysteriously extinguish themselves, batteries drain within minutes, and strange symbols etched into the rock walls seem to glow faintly in complete darkness. Some believe these passages connect to older mining operations or Native American ceremonial sites, explaining the intense supernatural energy that permeates the space. The lodge's staff quarters and employee areas host their own share of paranormal activity. Housekeepers frequently find beds stripped of linens despite securing them tightly the previous evening, while kitchen staff report cookware moving independently across countertops. Perhaps most disturbing are the accounts from night shift workers who claim to see shadowy figures dressed in vintage WPA uniforms patrolling the hallways, their forms occasionally solidifying into recognizable faces of long-deceased employees. During severe winter storms, when the lodge becomes completely isolated from the outside world, reports of supernatural activity increase dramatically. Guests describe seeing ghostly figures huddled around fireplaces, their faces bearing expressions of frozen agony. Entire families have reported waking to find their rooms filled with an impossible blizzard, complete with howling winds and snow accumulation, despite the building's state-of-the-art climate control systems. Some believe these manifestations represent trapped souls of past storm victims, forever reliving their final moments on the mountain. Psychics visiting Timberline have identified several hot spots of supernatural activity throughout the complex. The main lobby, with its impressive octagonal ceiling and intricate wood carvings, apparently serves as a nexus point for spiritual energy. Here, practitioners report overwhelming sensations of joy and sorrow simultaneously, as if witnessing countless moments of human experience compressed into a single space. The lodge's observation deck, accessible via a narrow staircase, has become a favored location for paranormal photography, with countless images capturing unexplained light anomalies and semi-transparent figures gazing out at the mountain vista. Local legends speak of a curse associated with the lodge's construction, allegedly placed by displaced Native American tribes whose sacred lands were disturbed during building. While officially dismissed as folklore, this story gains credence when considering the consistent pattern of accidents and disappearances that have plagued the facility throughout its history. Several prominent tribal leaders have visited Timberline in recent years, performing cleansing ceremonies that reportedly resulted in temporary decreases in paranormal activity, though never its complete cessation. As we descend from Timberline Lodge's haunted heights, we leave behind not just a collection of ghost stories but a profound testament to the intersection of human ambition and natural power. The lodge's continued operation as both a luxury resort and paranormal hotspot demonstrates how historical trauma, environmental factors, and cultural mythology can combine to create a truly unique supernatural phenomenon, one that continues to draw visitors seeking both adventure and enlightenment in equal measure. Ghosts of the Oregon Trail. Tucked away in the serene countryside of southwest Oregon, the Wolf Creek Inn stands as a tangible link to America's pioneering past and the grueling journey of westward expansion along the Oregon Trail. Established in 1883 by pioneer John Rader, this charming stagecoach stop evolved from a simple roadside inn into a vital refuge for weary travelers navigating the treacherous Applegate Trail. Its weathered wooden structure and classic Victorian architecture conceal centuries of human drama, from joyous celebrations to heart-wrenching tragedies, each contributing to the rich tapestry of supernatural activity that defines this historic landmark today. The inn's most famous ghostly resident, Sarah Helmick Rader, embodies the establishment's complex history. As John Rader's wife and business partner, Sarah managed daily operations while raising their children, transforming the modest inn into a thriving social hub. Her tragic death in 1911, caused by a fall down the main staircase, marked the beginning of documented paranormal activity within the building. Guests and staff consistently report sightings of a woman in Victorian dress descending the same staircase, her face obscured by flowing hair, pausing midway as if startled by her surroundings before vanishing into thin air. Some claim to smell her signature lilac perfume lingering in the hallway, particularly during the anniversary of her passing. The dining room, once filled with the lively chatter of stagecoach passengers and local residents, now hosts its own supernatural gatherings. Servers report seeing chairs moving independently around tables, settings arranging themselves without human intervention, and plates of food disappearing moments after being served. Particularly intriguing are the accounts of patrons being joined by invisible companions during meals, extra chairs scooting back as if occupied, condensation forming on glasses that remain untouched. Some believe these manifestations represent the spirits of travelers who died en route to California's gold fields, their journey ending prematurely at Wolf Creek Inn. Upstairs, the guest rooms tell individual stories of loss and longing. Room 3, positioned directly above the original bar, appears to house multiple spirits. Occupants report hearing phantom piano music filtering through the walls, accompanied by the distinct sound of glassware clinking and boisterous laughter from the long-closed saloon below. More disturbing are the instances of violent shaking experienced by guests, accompanied by icy fingers tracing patterns on their skin. Psychics investigating the room have identified two distinct presences: a gentleman gambler who lost everything in a card game gone wrong, and a young prostitute who met a mysterious end in the upstairs brothel. The inn's basement, originally used for food storage and laundry, hides its darkest secrets. Staff members conducting inventory counts have encountered what they describe as dark masses moving through the space, accompanied by the overwhelming stench of rotting meat and wet earth. Strange symbols carved into support beams, likely protective wards created by superstitious pioneers, glow faintly under ultraviolet light, suggesting rituals performed to combat malevolent forces. Some researchers believe these markings relate to Native American spiritual practices, as the inn sits near ancient tribal lands whose inhabitants viewed the site as cursed long before white settlers arrived. The inn's connection to the Oregon Trail manifests in particularly poignant ways during seasonal reenactments. Actors portraying pioneers have reported being joined by authentic period spirits, their costumes and mannerisms too authentic to be mere performance. Spectral wagons have been witnessed crossing the adjacent meadow, pulled by ghostly teams of oxen, while ethereal campfires burn bright without consuming fuel or spreading heat. These manifestations intensify during October, when the veil between worlds traditionally thins, drawing both tourists and paranormal investigators to the site. Perhaps most compelling are the documented interactions between living visitors and spirit entities. Multiple witnesses have captured recordings of voices speaking in languages from various immigrant groups who traveled the Oregon Trail, including German, Swedish, and Chinese. Digital cameras malfunction when pointed towards certain corners of the property, producing images that reveal faces pressed against windows or figures standing in doorways when no one was present. Some guests have reported waking to find their belongings rearranged in specific patterns, circles, crosses, or lines, suggesting attempts at communication from the other side. The inn's current owners and staff maintain a delicate balance between preserving its historical integrity and managing its supernatural reputation. Regular paranormal investigations occur throughout the year, with findings carefully documented and shared with interested parties. However, management insists on maintaining a respectful approach to the spirits, avoiding intrusive technologies or sensationalized presentations that might disturb the delicate equilibrium between our world and theirs. This philosophy has earned Wolf Creek in recognition not just as a haunted site but as a place where the past genuinely lives on, influencing the present in tangible ways. Local folklore adds another layer to the inn's haunted history, with stories of a lady in white who wanders the grounds searching for her lost child. While never conclusively identified, some believe this apparition represents a mother whose family perished during a cholera outbreak that swept through the area in the 1890s. Others connect her presence to a series of infant deaths that occurred when the inn served as a makeshift hospital during particularly harsh winters. Regardless of origin, sightings of this spectral figure continue to captivate visitors, particularly those sensitive to supernatural energies. As we depart from the haunted halls of Wolf Creek Inn, we leave behind not just a collection of ghost stories, but a living museum of American history. Each creaking floorboard and flickering light bulb speaks to the countless lives that intersected here during our nation's formative years. The inn's continued operation as both a functioning hotel and paranormal hotspot demonstrates how historical preservation and supernatural investigation can coexist harmoniously, providing visitors with an authentic glimpse into our country's haunted past. Oregon's seaside specters stretching along Oregon's rugged coastline, a series of haunted landmarks tells a tale of maritime tragedy, military valor, and supernatural vengeance that rivals any horror story. Among these, the Tillamook Rock Lighthouse, affectionately known as Terrible Tilly, stands as perhaps the most formidable specter of them all. Perched precariously on a barren rock formation 1 mile offshore, this decommissioned beacon of navigation has become synonymous with death and disaster since its construction in 1881. The original builders endured months of isolation, battling raging seas and merciless storms, with several losing their lives during construction. Today, visitors report seeing ghostly figures maintaining the light, their forms illuminated by flashes that ceased shining decades ago. Further south, the Battery Russell at Fort Stevens presents its own chilling narrative. This concrete bastion, part of the coastal defense system during World War II, witnessed Japan's only wartime attack on the continental United States when a Japanese submarine shelled the fort in 1942. Though no casualties occurred, the incident left psychic scars that linger to this day. Park rangers and visitors alike report hearing phantom artillery fire echoing across the beach, accompanied by the distinct sound of marching boots and shouted commands. Some claim to see spectral soldiers patrolling the gun emplacements, their uniforms dating back to different eras of military occupation. The ghost town of Bayosine, once billed as the Atlantic City of the West, adds another layer of coastal tragedy to Oregon's haunted landscape. This ambitious seaside resort, constructed between 1906 and 1914, fell victim to coastal erosion and poor engineering decisions. By the 1950s, the entire community had been consumed by the Pacific Ocean, taking with it countless lives and dreams. Locals report seeing apparitions of former residents wandering along the shoreline, their faces reflecting both nostalgia and despair. Particularly disturbing are accounts of children's laughter echoing across the empty beach, followed by sudden waves that seem to chase intruders from the former town site. Heceta Head Lighthouse, Newport's iconic landmark, harbors its own supernatural secrets. Built in 1872, this tallest lighthouse on the Oregon coast has witnessed numerous shipwrecks and maritime disasters. Keepers and visitors have documented strange occurrences for generations, from mysterious knocking sounds emanating from empty rooms to sightings of a woman in white believed to be the spirit of a keeper's wife who fell to her death from the tower. The nearby tide pools seem particularly active, with divers reporting being touched by unseen hands and hearing underwater voices warning them away from certain areas. Salem's haunted history in the heart of Oregon's capital city, Salem's haunted landscape emerges as a complex tapestry of urban legends, historical tragedies, and supernatural phenomena that defy easy categorization. Chief among these is the Salem Courthouse Square, where the convergence of judicial proceedings, political power, and civic engagement has created a unique environment ripe for paranormal activity. Built in 1898, this Romanesque revival structure has witnessed countless dramatic moments in Oregon's legal history, each leaving behind an imprint that some believe contributes to its current haunted status. The courthouse's basement levels, once used for holding cells and archives, now serve as the epicenter of supernatural occurrences. Court clerks and janitorial staff report hearing phantom court proceedings continuing long after hours, complete with gavel strikes and jury deliberations. Particularly disturbing are the accounts of invisible chains rattling in empty corridors, accompanied by the sound of labored breathing and muttered prayers, echoes believed to stem from prisoners awaiting sentencing during Salem's more punitive era. Security cameras have captured shadowy figures pacing in cells that haven't housed inmates in over 50 years, their forms occasionally resolving into recognizable faces of historical criminals. Nearby, the Salem Public Library occupies a building steeped in both literary and supernatural significance. Originally constructed in 1901 as the Salem, this Beaux-Arts masterpiece has maintained its haunted reputation through multiple renovations and repurposing. Librarians frequently find books rearranged according to obscure classification systems, while patrons report seeing ghostly figures browsing stacks in areas closed to the public. The children's section, located in what was once the building's swimming pool, hosts particularly active phenomena, with toys moving independently and disembodied giggles echoing through the space. Some researchers believe these manifestations relate to the building's original purpose as a recreational facility, where countless childhood memories were formed and now replay endlessly in spectral form. Salem's haunted history extends to its commercial district, where the Reed Opera House stands as a monument to both artistic expression and supernatural intrigue. Built in 1870, this multi-story complex served various roles throughout its history, from legitimate theater to vaudeville house to retail space. Today, shopkeepers and theater companies occupying the building report a range of paranormal activities, from unexplained temperature fluctuations to full-body apparitions of performers in period costume. The third-floor ballroom, scene of countless social events and performances, particularly resonates with supernatural energy. Visitors often feel compelled to dance when entering the space, their movements matching steps from dances long forgotten by living memory. The Salem Fire Station No. 1, established in 1908, contributes its own chapter to the city's haunted narrative. Firefighters assigned to this historic station report equipment moving independently, alarms sounding without cause, and the distinct sound of horse-drawn fire wagons clattering up to the station despite motorized vehicles replacing them decades ago. Some believe these manifestations relate to the devastating fires that shaped Salem's development, particularly the Great Salem Fire of 1910 that destroyed nearly half the city. The station's poll room has become a focal point for paranormal activity, with firefighters reporting being pushed or pulled by unseen forces while responding to calls. Urban legends surrounding Salem's haunted sites often blend historical fact with supernatural speculation. The White Lady of Salem Cemetery, for instance, combines elements of local history with paranormal phenomena. Said to be the spirit of a young woman who died tragically during the Spanish flu epidemic, her appearances coincide with outbreaks of illness in the city. Witnesses report seeing her walking through the cemetery gates, her form glowing with an otherworldly light that illuminates gravestones bearing dates from periods of widespread disease. Some local healers believe her presence serves as a warning system, alerting the community to potential health crises.